Stretch of Missouri River closed to traffic due to flooding. Omaha, Nebraska. Flooding in the central U.S. on Friday, caused by rain and snowmelt from a massive late winter storm, forced hundreds of people to evacuate, threatened a nuclear power plant, and shut down traffic on part of the Missouri River, foreshadowing a difficult spring flooding season. Flooding remained a big concern in the lower Missouri River region, which is a major source for the Mississippi River, with the Weather Service issuing warnings of high water along the river and its tributaries from southeastern South Dakota to St. Louis in Missouri. Slideshow by Photo Services. The U.S. Coast Guard on Friday shut down all traffic on the Missouri River from about 50 miles (80.5 kilometers) south of Omaha, Nebraska, downstream to St. Joseph. The Coast Guard and Corps also requested all river vessel operators create as little wake as possible between St. Joseph downstream. The restrictions came as the river reached moderate flood stage at nearly 32 feet on Friday at Omaha, where it's expected to crest at nearly 34 feet on Monday, according to the National Weather Service. The river is expected. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which manages the river, increased releases from Gavins Point Dam in southeastern South Dakota due to limited storage capacity behind the dam for the excess runoff. The releases could work. The swollen Missouri threatened a nuclear power plant in southeastern Nebraska. The Nebraska public officials are confident that the flooding around the plant presents no danger to the public, Power District spokesman Mark Becker said. The storm also significantly increased spring flood worries in the Red River Valley in the upper Midwest, where the neighboring cities of Fargo, North Dakota, and Moorhead, Minnesota, experienced a record flood 10 years ago. The two cities have implemented several measures, such as home buyouts and levies since then. They could be tested. The storm, which contributed to the deaths of a utility worker in Texas and a Colorado State Patrol officer, dropped heavy rain as it moved east across the Central Plains. The rain also melted losses. The powerful wind and snow that created huge snowdrifts in cattle country also closed hundreds of miles of interstates in the Dakotas. The highways were being hit. Iowa government. Kim Reynolds signed. The storm also spawned at least 3 tornadoes in Michigan and Indiana on Thursday, according to the National Weather Service. There are no immediate. Contributing to this report were Associated Press reporters Josh Funk in Omaha, Nebraska. Dan Elliott in Search for location/city.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. I get fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.